I'm just on my way to spend the next couple of weeks designing and building a tiny home-based studio. Basically, the mission is to transform a small bedroom, like many of you might be using, into a professional caliber control room. In this series, I'll be taking all of the acoustic knowledge that I've learned over the last decade, and I'll show you inside of a real-world project how it all gets practically applied. I'll show you the entire process step by step, all my tips and tricks, the best practices, all on camera.
Hey, come on. Nice to see you. Nice to see you too.
All right, here it is, hey? Wow, look at this. I mean, you said it was small, and I've seen it on pictures, but yeah, man, this is nuts. This is definitely gonna be the tiniest studio I've ever built. And what do we got here? Yeah. These ever fall on you? Cool, well, I mean, you did two things right. One, you wrapped them so that fibers don't get out. And two, you decompressed them out of the bag. I think the only way we go down from here is leaving your rock wool compressed inside the plastic packaging that it comes in. So yeah, we're gonna get rid of these. We're gonna swap these out. Let's sit down and talk about goals and objectives. Awesome, so let's talk through the game plan for the room. So what type of work do you want to be doing in here, and what are the kind of considerations and aims for the space?
I'm looking to do multiple things in here: recording, mixing, but mainly have it be a production space.
So it's going to be what we would call a hybrid room. You know, back in the day, it was much more common to have spaces be, the control room would be separate and the recording studio would be separate. The control room would be heavily damped and would have symmetry, and the recording space would have a ton of wood and asymmetrical walls, non-parallel walls, and would be much more live sounding. But in today's day and age, people are working with smaller spaces, and a lot of times these spaces are inside residential construction like this, and we have to straddle the pond. And I know the work you do. You know, you do some engineering, you do some composing, you do some recording and production. You've produced albums for people before, so you are someone who wears many hats, and we need your studio to reflect that.
Exactly.
One of the challenges with small rooms is they're small rooms. You know, like with acoustic treatment, you're taking up some of the room volume. And so we'll have some limits on us and what we can do. Let's talk a bit about the aesthetics of the room. You're going to be spending a lot of time in here. What are you thinking in terms of aesthetics?
Yeah, that's an important one for me. I mean, obviously acoustics is number one, but a close second for me is how the room feels and how people feel when they're in here. So I know with the amount of acoustic treatment to make this room the best it can be, it's probably gonna get very crowded in here, so.
Yeah, there will be enough room for you.
Yeah, there would be enough room for, yeah.
And otherwise it's a cocoon.
Exactly.
That's ideal acoustic treatment.
Sounds amazing.
You lose 3/4 of the room. So not that. So we're not gonna shrink the ceiling way down so it's like brushing your hair. We're not gonna take up 2 feet off the walls. We're gonna need to do what can be done without making you feel like you're claustrophobic in here.
Yeah.
Also, you need room for clients to come into this room, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like usually 1, maybe 2 people max that either want to sit here and review a mix with me or go over some production work or just or recording, exactly. Just have you know, somebody in here with a guitar or a saxophone or singing or a voiceover.
And then, yeah, because you're going to be spending long hours in here and you want it to be a space that you enjoy being in versus feel resistance around coming into, you need the space to feel good for you as well. So, yeah, gotcha. No, that's great. And we're going to do it.
Right on. Yeah, I'm super excited.
Nice.
I know lots can be improved in here.
You got it.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the room orientation, because this is the major thing that I am going to change. Normally in a studio, the prevailing wisdom is that you set up along the short wall, just like this, and you fire your speakers along the long wall. That gets the bass energy that's being reflected as far away from you as possible. And normally I would agree with that. However, in this room, that becomes very problematic. The main thing is that in a control room, you need to have symmetry. And when you take a look up here at our expansion ceiling, you can see that we are compromising symmetry when we orient this way. So we need to change the orientation to achieve symmetry. Now, the other aspect in terms of what Thomas was saying about the aesthetics of the room is we have this window here, right? There's a nice view out the window, and I don't want to block it. I want to be able to use this window. So we're going to spin the room, and and we're going to orient the monitors here on either side of the window. That's going to be the front wall, and the back wall is going to be over here. And we're going to use these different features that we talked about to our advantage. So the window is going to be an aesthetic advantage. Glass is very reflective. It has the highest reflection coefficient of any material in a studio typically. It reflects mid and high energy. Base energy can partially escape through it. The best place for a window is directly in front of you between your monitors, because you're not going to get any mid and high energy reflecting off the window, okay? So that's a big advantage. The other thing in this room is the expansion ceiling. So when the speakers are firing this direction, they're going to be firing into an area, because the ceiling is sloping up, of increasing and increasing volume, which is going to be an advantage for us. Also, because we're going to be putting pretty heavy and thick as we can go anyways, bass traps on the back wall, this gives us the ability to cover more of the volume of the back of the studio with trapping. Okay, next we are going to talk about the door. So we have this entry door here, and if this is at the back of the room and the speakers are pointed this way, bass normally accumulates at the back of the room. Well, if you want to improve your bass performance a bit, you just open the door, energy opens and escapes. So that's good. And then we're going to talk about the closet. So this is the utility closet that Thomas needs to access multiple times a day. And if we cover that with acoustic treatment, that's going to be a major impedance for him. So we want to have this closet accessible. And if this was the back of the room, we would be absolutely needing to cover this with bass trapping, right? Can't do that. So if we turn this into a sidewall, we're able to place acoustic treatment, a corner trap in the front corner. We would be able to place a broadband full trap in the back of the room, and that's going to be an advantage for us there. I said back of the room, but this is going to be actually the sidewall acoustic treatment. So what we'd be doing is building a broadband module that fits here and covering the primary reflection points. There we go. That's our new room orientation. Let's do it. In the next episode, we'll begin by tackling the room measurements. I'll show you how to set up your room for acoustic testing and all of the best practices in Room EQ Wizard. Stay tuned.